Hey guys, TMI. TMI. Too much information. I self-diagnosed myself with that a long time ago. Once I get in on a subject, I become very proficient at it, very passionate about it, and I would say, semi-expert until I get bored with it and move on. Um, but sometimes when you're talking to people in business and stuff, sometimes it's someone you've just met. You get on with them just a little bit, and then all of a sudden all the information comes out, all the spew out all the. Oh, am I going to get a chance to talk to someone like this again? When did that start happening for me as an INFJ? I think it's an INFJ thing. When did that start happening? Because if I've been a little bit of time between, like usually I'll sort of have a best friend sort of thing or a couple of friends tops, and um, you know if it's been a while, then you meet someone and you want to spew out all these ideas. You want to just be able to talk all this stuff out. Is that what I'm doing here? Am I using a YouTube channel as a friend and I'm just talking? I don't know. Oh, I do that thing where I just go too much and you go, oh, I'm driving someone away again, aren't I? Yeah. Driving them away again. Yeah. I'm dabbling at making, well, I won't say I'm dabbling it up. I've been making videos for this year on another channel that I've been making videos for a couple of years, but I haven't posted any, and I've only just started doing all the editing this year. So I'm almost 6 months in, aren't I? Almost 6 months in. And I made a commitment to post a video a day until all the backlog of all my videos, the footage is gone. And it's just stuff I do around the home, around the farm and stuff. And one of my biggest dilemmas was making videos that I was happy with, that I would watch, and that other people would watch. That's two different things. It's two different things. So I struggled with all the perfectionist side of things, and ended up just doing it and committing, making a out loud commitment to YouTube, and I sent it out to a bunch of people that I knew, and so if you could at least start off with something. Not that most of those people knew how to subscribe to something anyway, but anyway, that's at least I've gone and put it out there, saying I'm gonna do something. So now I have to, and I'm coming close to getting through all the footage now. I'm almost into making new stuff. I wanted to see if I can make a channel and make it do something. But I have a dilemma with it. I filmed the whole lot, and I happen to talk in bits and pieces of it. So I've got to go through all these hours of footage to see if there's anything interesting in what I was saying. Sometimes nuanced, and sometimes, some little philosophy gems or something. I don't know. Sometimes a bit of wit and funny stuff that some people wouldn't get. And so it makes it hard to make a video. Like, do you just go and there's a bit of a boring stuff here, but you can sort of show it happening as a fast forward with a bit of music. That's much more appealing than watching the whole thing for half an hour and getting 3 or 4 gems of mumblings of something funny, maybe, in my head. So, too much information, and at the beginning, so brothers and friends were saying, you want it to be, you want it to be nice and short because of, and I'm thinking, no. Instagram and all that sort of stuff has made people's attention spans shorter. I don't agree with that. I think people should be able to focus for long term, be able to watch a movie. People can't watch movies anymore, I think I've said. And just listen to something. Listen to see what someone has. If it's not going to be interesting enough, they just bail, within seconds. Snapchat and Instagram has made it that way that if you can't get something, hedonism, you can't get something straight away, toss it aside. And I don't agree with that. I mentioned that thing the other day, eudaimonia. I had to look up how, I had to try and work out how that was even spelt. But I put that on the end of the video there, the eudaimonia versus hedonism. And that's how I live my life. I've always been like that. And I think people should be able to, invest a bit of time in to learn some stuff and what have you. So people have said to me, your videos are a little bit too long. Not these ones on the other channel. Well, these are probably too long too, right? And I'm going, nope. I watch videos that long on other people's channels, and I like it. So I guess by doing the too much information thing, the over talking, overthinking, people's eyes glaze over, all that sort of stuff, I guess by doing all that, you limit your... INFJ's got a limited audience anyway. I mean, not an audience, but a limited pool of personality types that would usually get on with them. I've stumbled across, I was telling you, I've been looking on Audible for stuff to read, and I've just cheapskated out and gone for these free podcasts that are about INFJ. And I don't like to I feel I'm going into some cult, an INFJ club, and I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure. I feel a bit weird that, I don't want to immerse all my attention into this sort of stuff, but it's bringing up. It's like, I heard this fella talking, this someone, he stopped doing his podcast now because not enough time for Jesus or something, whatever. Okay, that's fine, whatever, mate, and his wife and all that. You could, yeah. But I was listening to, I think it must be the second last one because it automatically came up, and it brought up this thing about the soapboxing and stuff like that. I was like, too much information, TMI. That's just me. And I thought, that's good. So it's bringing up these things that I can regurgitate out for content in my own words don't come some days in my own sort of way, I suppose, but I don't want to feel like I'm just regurgitating the same information, but this is something that really is part of my life. There's too much information, and I wonder whether it's driven people away a lot over the years. But I think of some of the friends that I've had over the years, and they're quite often detail-orientated people too. Passionate people about stuff. They might not be the same personality types. In fact, one of my friends growing up, I wasn't going to talk about in this episode. Part of even why I'm doing these ones is to talk about this situation. When I was growing up, I had a friend. I wasn't going to talk about it in this episode, but now that it's come up, I'll touch on it. I had a best friend growing up, and how I just got onto this a second ago is that I wonder what personality type he was, And he'd had some drama. His dad had died of a heart attack in the driveway of his mistress's house after leaving there, after spending the night with the mother of a girl in our class. I think she was Russian or something too. Some sort of foreign name, Polish, maybe something like that. But it was obviously all over the school that Dad was cheating, had a heart attack in the driveway after the night after. She's in our class as well. It would have been hard for him, not just losing your father, but, the scandal over all of that as well. Vanya, her name was. That's a weird name, isn't it? Don't often hear that name. And we had this on-again, off-again relationship, my mate and I. We sort of bonded over cars and stuff like that, and go-kart racing, and I've got a feeling he's an INTJ. I just reached out to him a few months ago. Because it had ended badly, when I was 17 or something. It ended badly. I'd got on with the wrong crowd, and I was feeling that. So I was out drinking and whatever with a couple of mates, yahoing around on a Sunday afternoon, and we had a car project on with these other couple of mates as well, and we needed to use my grinder, but my mate, who had sort of hadn't been hanging around with me so much since I'd been hanging around with these other fellas, they were probably a bit bad news, I suppose, or a bit loserish or something. He just didn't go in for that crowd, which is good, because he probably stayed a bit straighter than me. I probably went off the rails a little bit, and so he's a smart one, obviously, but I did learn a lot of things. But I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. I learned a hard lesson this day on this Sunday afternoon. Do you notice I got a broken nose? He didn't do that, someone else did. That happened this day. Not an Amber Heard broken nose, an actual one. But this day, sunny day, out drinking with these mates. I don't know where we're going, out around the place, I don't know. something came up about my grinder. We were going to use it on this car project. And I was going, it was a grinder with all these sanding disc pads, and I'd been given it as a Christmas present from my stepfather, actually. That was a bit weird. And I was pretty fussy how I keep my tools. I'd keep all that in its box and all that, and keep all the cord rolled up. Keep everything in there, nothing gets lost. And I'd lent it to my mate, his best mate growing up sort of thing, and we'd done lots of car projects together. And he hadn't given it back to me. And it had been a while. I'd almost forgot about it. So I went round to pick it up with them. Drunk. He wasn't home. But his younger brother was there, and, said, I should come to get the grinder, mate, And I had these fellas with me, So we waltzed on into my mate's shed, as far as anyone from the family is concerned, I basically lived there, I had to run of the place, So I went to get my grinder back. And I snapped, because it was covered in shit and abused and paint all over it, and it wasn't. I felt that my relationship, my giving, had been abused. I've always wanted to articulate that term, that I don't think it ever has been articulated, that, I really felt that he'd taken my friendship for granted, and there was other things that I felt he was using me for. My father had a big garage with dyno tuning and all this sort of stuff, and we'd go in the weekends and do all this sort of stuff, and he'd sort of take a little bit of that for granted. And the grinder being all covered in shit was the final straw. And like a little bitch, like a little sulky bitch, I picked up something of his and dropped it. Cylinder head, you don't do that. In front of his little brother. And I grabbed a chrome air filter and something. Turns out it was some special Matchbox car that was a collector's edition. I grabbed it and I carved something into the chrome, but I don't even know it, scratched it. But I never realised, but I think he brought it up one other time later on that I used some special Matchbox car to scratch the chrome air filter. I don't think he knew about the other thing, cylinder head dropping on the ground, but I was angry. I was like tantrum angry. Anyway, we grabbed the grinder and off we went, and these boys would have been geeing me up. Oh, yeah, Anyway. So I was on a roll. I went, dropped off those guys or something like that. Somehow I went to my other mate, or maybe he had my car or something, my other best mate, who wasn't so much of a drinker and all that sort of stuff. He was the one that sort of kept me alive half the time. We went and did a lot of weightlifting and things like that. And back in the day with Olympian rowers. And he was a good influence. So we went round to another mate's place on the same day. This is like, and my other mate, his sister was going out with this older fella. He was a painter, and I knew he'd said something about me or someone to someone else. He'd dobbed something in or done something. And I walked up the driveway there of my mate's house with my other mate that had driven me around there, because I was drunk. I was really drunk. Decent amount of drunk. not ridiculous, but decent amount of drunk. And this is 17. And I'd said, going up the driveway, whatever his name was, you know it, yelled out his name, you know it all, cunt, you fucking dad, something. Called him a know-it-all, cunt. At my mate's house, potentially in front of my mate's mother, my mate's sister that he was going out with, and him. So that's a red flag, I suppose. That's fight and talk. I'd forgotten that he was a boxer. Well, I thought I was pretty tough too, but I'd never fought. But we did weights and things. I never even thought of it. Well, he didn't knock me out or anything, but he kept punching me until didn't knock me down. But tell you what, I must have taken 20 or 30 punches in the head. Got a broken nose out of it, and my mate pulled him off me, but I was still I was still snarling at him. I learned a lot that day. There's consequences for being a loudmouth prick, even though I was accusing him of being a loudmouth prick. Just there's a way of doing things. This is the whole too much information thing, isn't it? Here I am going spewing a whole lot of information. But I did want to put this little subject, which is still going, into this little series for some reason. I don't know. I don't imagine my mate that I'm talking about is ever going to see this, but I wanted to articulate, I guess, not a straight up apology, but some sort of explanation of why I snapped or why I felt like because I still felt, hang on, man, you abused our relationship. You did it by taking me for granted. It's always something I've had to be careful. If you give too much to people, if you give too much of yourself to people and then they take it for granted, the door slam comes big time, and that's it, but it was never the same after that, But, so, my mate drops me home with a broken nose, ran to my grandparents' place. I was living at my grandparents' place at that stage, and they weren't home, luckily. No one was home that day, everywhere. They weren't home, and I just slunk into my bedroom with a green swan dry on, so you couldn't really tell too much of all the blood running down the front of my green and black swan dry, which is some New Zealand sort of woolen coat, green and black checks, and blood all down the front of it. Drunk and hungover and feeling sorry for myself now, wondering what the hell have I done today. I've gone and sort of ended a relationship with my best mate, gone around to my other mate's place with my other mate and made a dick of myself and taken a consequence for it. And as I'm lying in bed, I think my grandparents did come home at some stage, but I managed to avoid them seeing my bloody nose, and I think I might have washed a bit of blood off my face. Maybe I did. And then up the driveway zooms my mate, the other fella, the one that I'd gone and got me grinder back from, the best mate growing up. And he was angry because he just found out that I'd hurt one of his Matchbox cars, or But it was more than that, you know. I'd gone into his place in front of his younger brother and run him up. It's like they would have gone, we don't know this person. You know, his younger brother would have gone, I don't know him anymore. And so he was angry. He was saying stuff, gave me a shove, you know. Not a punch or anything. He's never really a fighter. It's a bit uncoordinated. And that was it. I wouldn't say that the relationship totally ended, you know, because a few years later, when I went down to the other end of the country to hang around with my brothers for a while, basically I left town soon after that, you know, like I would just embarrass myself. And then, you know, a year or so after being down the other end of the country, I must have still been in contact somehow, because I did contact him and asked him if he wanted to buy my car, because it was a race car sort of thing, and kept getting pulled up for looking like I was going fast, even though I wasn't. And I just decided to sell it, go a bit more. I was in the church cult, so something a bit more sedate maybe. And he drove halfway down the country, and I met him halfway and bought the car. And we never really spoke too much after that, you know. It was still, when I turned up at the other end of the country there years later doing engineering degree stuff and all that sort of thing, and then another job, industry that I'm in now. He did come and visit. He'd been overseas. He sort of popped back and sort of said hi, but that was it. I think I went to a party at his place, maybe his sister's birthday party or something. Probably would have been his sister's 30th party or something like that. And went round there, and it was a little bit uncomfortable, especially when I bought out a joint. It was really uncomfortable. It's like, oh no, man. It's like, oh, isn't 40% of our country into this? No, he wasn't. So, you know, that he sort of saw me as a loser again there, I suppose. But I always think about that relationship, you know, because it was one of the, coming back from the kidnapping, and there was a couple of other friends I had as well. You know, I had another friend that I would go and play golf with, mates sort of thing, but you know, that wasn't a real close relationship, really. But it was mainly this bloke, and I always wondered what sort of personality type he is. And it was interesting, you know, just touching base a couple of months ago. Still can't tell if he wants to, or if he's feeling like, you know, I think I've got to apologise, but I think I need to explain. But explanations and reasons sound lame. They always do. But if you don't understand why you did that, why I reacted to that, then you'll never understand. You'll you know, run the risk of hurting me again. I don't want that. So, you know, I acted like a little bitch. I guess it was a door slam, but it backfired on me too. It was a bad day. You know, I started writing journal-y type, diary type stuff probably after that. Oh no, I had already started before that, actually. Yeah. And so that was one of my regrets. My regrets in life is to sort of try and fix. I don't think you can fix that. But to maybe explain still sounds lame. But like I've door slammed my little brother, the wife beater one. I've door slammed my mother, proper job ones. And I guess I door slammed him, but I sort of felt bad about the way I did it, so I felt like I was being taken advantage of, used, not appreciated. I had dummy spit. I didn't deal with it right. I acted like a little kid. I lashed out. I shouldn't have done that. Not funnily enough, but it was interesting that he hasn't had kids. I don't know, like he's probably would have been pretty harsh for him losing his dad at that time, and he was even just in our correspondence, he was sort of saying that they've only just recently sold the building that his dad had his business in, which was right around the corner from my dad's business. And what I read in between the lines with that was that, yes, your dad dying is still a major part of your life, all that pain and all that whatever happened. I remember the day of the funeral. There's a group of us that were all mates and stuff, I suppose, but we all got the day off school to go to the funeral. This would have been 12, I suppose. Would have been 12. Maybe 13. More likely 12. I don't know. And maybe we didn't go to I don't know if there's a church service or what it was, but we went to the house. Now, what house was it? Might have been someone else's house. I can't remember, actually. Might have been the dad's house, because his mum and the dad might have been separated at that stage, and they might have had separate houses. I'm not sure. From then on, afterwards, we always went into his mother's house. That was which was the house, I don't know. But where we went for the funeral wake thing afterwards, we might have went to the church. There might have been a church service. So then we went to the after party type of thing, and there was a driveway, and it was us kids from school stood at the letterbox of the driveway of the car coming in. And I don't know how many of us there were. Might have been 5 of us or something like that, maybe more. And I just remember him in the back seat of this car coming, and and he just sort of popped his head up. You could see sort of at the side window and over the front seat, you could sort of see him, you know, all mates are here, and and he got out and had, you know, we had a time. So I just remember that. So maybe it's not, you know, maybe you can't door slam everyone. Okay, I'm out.